Hello, everyone, and welcome to Out of Combat. It is our little after show where a few of us talk about what just happened in the previous episode, as well as anything else that's happened up to this point. We just had episode 15 of season 2 of Castles and Cantrips, and I am here with Nina Nikolic, who plays Cooter, and Mac and Cheese Please, who plays Taj, and I'm Max, and I'm the DM. So welcome to this episode of Out of Combat. Fun little episode. So a little bit of learning, a little bit of downtime. No sorty slashies, but more talkies. It's been a little
sorty slashies. I love sorty slashies.
I was looking forward to slashing some swords because I was sick last week.
Yes,
but it's fine.
I will say, man, last week I know y'all had stuff going on. There were so many sorty slashies last week.
I was about to like punch someone in a pub just so we can have some like sorty slashies.
It wouldn't be the first time for one of your characters.
Listen, I didn't know you weren't allowed to bring spells to a bar fight. Okay,
a little throwback from episode 1 or episode 2 of
like
season 1.
Episode 1 or episode 2 of season 1.
very, very early on. But no, this episode a little more. I mean, the group was coming back from a little long, crazy journey of Magic Island of weirdness. So I think it's okay to have a little downtime and to a little R&R to figure out what's next.
Yeah, I have to honestly go back and like watch that episode. So I was gone. I was at PAX West, and I feel like some really important stuff went down because like Bun's character Emmy was like really like driving home on this idea, and I wasn't there, so I'm like, what's the big deal? Like, we got the treasure and we left. Like, what do you want from me, girl? Like, you know.
Speaking of which, can we? Cause okay, so there was the guy, the crazy guy. That was were you there with the crazy guy? I'm pretty sure you were. Because
the first the first time that we met him, he was like old and like went crazy from knowledge or something, and like was like a little like Lulu. What was his deal?
And I'm like, so Cooter had found out that he's basically one of those like, I don't know, he's basically Gollum at this point.
Yeah, that's how I envisioned him in my head, was like a little Gollum.
And so he through some kind of arcane magic, dude just went like completely bonkers, basically. But I'm wondering now if it has anything to do with the Arcanum thingo that we found.
The Orby?
Yeah, the orb boy.
Yeah, how did you get the orb guy? Like, was he the treasure at the end of the rainbow or what?
It wasn't it? They got it at the end of last week when you and I weren't there, because I was watching.
You weren't there either.
Yeah.
No, I got the flu literally that morning.
I didn't realize.
So
you mentioned being sick, but I didn't realize that you were just physically not there either.
Well, I was watching. So I was kind of, but obviously I wasn't able to pay that much attention, but I was trying to. And yeah, apparently the orb was what transported them out. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I got that from the recap.
Yeah, the Cryptex Arcanum, or as Max said, the Orby.
The Orby.
The Orby. That makes me think of swimming pools filled with Orbeez. You all seen the YouTube videos, but anyway,
it's like a giant jelly thing.
Yeah,
like,
it's a big jelly thing. No, that was something that they reached the end, and their friend, who was the Nothic, who was Zendal Nerion, or you called him Zendal. The portal opened, and he's like, "F y'all, I'm going," and they stopped him from going, and he turned on everyone because he wanted the arcane secrets. He wanted all the knowledge. It was for him. So they had a battle, and they defeated him and the other monster that came out. And then this Cryptex Arcanum was one of many treasures inside of a portal that opened up after they figured out the puzzle. And when they went in, it was magic items, like someone's like little tiny, like extra dimensional, like workspace. And they grabbed items, and Hayden like pocketed something without people knowing what it was as well.
I don't even know what he has.
So nobody knows what he has. He pocketed it. And then the last thing is there was the giant, like the Orby, like you were saying, was on this pedestal, and it was the last thing they grabbed. And as soon as they grabbed it, it took them out of that whole area and put them basically at the front of the dungeon. So that's kind of what that was. So they didn't even have any idea what it was. The only sort of like investigation are what y'all did. And I think what has Emmy so like tilted about this stuff is everyone's kind of aware of all the different deities and the pantheon and all this other stuff, but like she couldn't tell if this was like a school or like a church or something, because as far as anyone knows, there is no deity over the arcane domain. But clearly there was some reverence to that. So that's kind of why she's digging in of like, who are they worshiping? Because ain't no God I ever heard of or anybody else. So that's kind of why it's so weird and why she wants to dig in so much into it.
I see. Yeah, because I was like, I don't get what your deal is. Like we did the quest. We are now done with the quest.
Yeah. For sure. And there were so many little tidbits from all those little episodes with Gromke and like his little side quest stuff that just came out. So that's kind of why she's kind of freaking out about it a little bit.
I think that portal room would have literally been like Kuda and Taj would just be like snow
like snow angels. I was like, dang it, I missed that. I wanted a pocket items too.
I wonder if we might be able to go back though, like if there was something else in that portal that they missed or something, or like how long will it take us to unlock the Orby boy? Like that's my big question.
What's in the Orby?
Yeah, I will say. One hand, go ahead.
I was just going to say, on one hand, like Kuda wants to know what it is and what's in there because it could mean everything. But at the same time, there's so much caution around it because she's also scared to turn into Nothic boy. She doesn't want to like.
I will say, as kind of the DM, you don't turn into Nothic by accident. Like by opening this, it's not like, oh, I'm a Nothic now. Like, no. These are like wizards who like go sick over like, I got to know everything and like I want to live forever. That kind of crazy stuff. It's like I want to be a lich, but it went wrong. Now I'm a Nothic kind of thing. Yeah. So no fear of like, oh, you're a Nothic now. Sorry.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But the longer we have it in our possession, there might be other. Like it's so risky because it's like such a big thing that other people would be after that, right?
It's
and
almost...
no one knows about it. And that's why, honestly, I was a little upset with Emmy for sharing about the orb in front of that woman or whatever, because like it was in a box, in a desk, like she didn't know about it. You know what I mean? So it's like, why are you sharing so much when there's nothing to share?
What are you hiding?
Yeah. And so now she knows there's something. And I felt like that should have been like a group conversation to be like, yeah, we should let her in on the orb or not to let her in on the orb. So I as a player and as Taj was upset that Emmy just spilt the beans. And I was like, God damn it. Like, why did you do this?
Very
visually actually upset.
Yeah, for sure. And I think because none of y'all have ever like taken the time to talk to Whisper or figure out like Whisper, like what she's about. Because she's placed there by Blackbeak basically to be her like eyes and ears. So a couple things you don't know are like, one, how serious does she take that? And two, how much does she already know? Right? Because if she's serious about her job, about being the eyes and ears, you don't know what she's capable of. But
yeah, well,
in due time.
Exactly. And like I get like Emmy and like Bun's point of view of like, well, she probably already knows about it. But like it was super duper duper hidden in a chest. Like in my mind. Like I like was like, I want it in a chest and a desk. Like it's not just out in the open on the couch. Haha. Like we just lock the door. Like it's not, it wasn't like that for me. Like for me, it was like the chest is what had the arcane lock on it, not the door to the room that had the chest in it. You know what I mean? That's how I thought of it, at least. So I was like, secrets. Don't spill the beans. We need every leverage we can to get out of either this contract or and whatnot. And that was another thing. Like Hayden was like, well, I don't want to serve Blackbeak for my whole life. And I wanted to be like, dude, it's going to be 6 months. Like, 6 months your whole life? Like, what are you doing, dude?
Well, it's 6 months and you come up with the cash.
Yeah.
So as long as y'all cough up the cash, then she's okay with it. So she's using you all. Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to know like the dollar amount, like how much are we worth?
Yeah.
Because like I like in my IRL life, I'm like, let's pay stuff off as quickly as possible. So like the loot money we got, I was like, well, that could just all go to her, you know, like what percentage do we actually need? Because then in like what 10 missions done, like goodbye, we can go do our own thing now. Like
and
pay off that mortgage.
That's my bad. I'll get y'all a dollar amount next session for sure. Yeah, because in the visual rules, it's like a ship costs this much. Well, it's like, yeah, these rules have like a ship, but we're playing like a watery pirate campaign. There's not like a ship. There's like 7
tons
different like shit that I gotta make up. So I'll get y'all a dollar amount. Hold on that so you can do some accounting and some budgeting and all that. So
yeah, right. I want a budget. I want to like put together like a savings plan to like pay it off early without interest.
Yeah.
Like
Dungeons and accounting is real.
It is
Especially because
real.
with Blackbeak, like the interest might be someone's finger. Like, no thanks.
You know, or like, yeah, who knows? I do like to think actually, what do you think Cooter's opinion is on Blackbeak? Do you think that she's going to hold up the deal at the end of the 6 months? Or do you think like some shit's going to go down and we're going to be in trouble?
Cooter as a character is actually quite skeptical, I think, contrary to how she comes across to everyone else. And that's purely based on her roles. Every time.
Ones? No.
Yeah. Because it's like she's kind of that character who has so much life experience and is so highly intelligent and knows so much, but then kind of has those like memory lapses or like moments where she's a little bit senile like, or whatever, where she just can't quite manage to like do the thing she wants to do. So I think internally she's like, oh, we're kind of screwed. And then, yeah. But so she just kind of tries to get by.
Speaking of with Cooter, I'm going to bring this back to the Orby for a second because I was thinking about this when we were rolling through that. And you were mentioning how she's kind of afraid to dive in. And it's almost like Cooter has to weigh like her kind of want for knowledge and information about things that happened versus like how deep she wants to go with this thing. Like, how do you as a player like approach that like for your character? Because like you've got these two like very much competing, you know, like states of mind where she seems very cautious and like doesn't purposely want to get into shit, but like she has this like serious need to understand and to know things. Like, how do you deal with that?
I think it's also, I think, sorry, excuse me, everyone listening. I apologize for my current situation. I think it also like proximity plays a part too, like because there's when she's close enough to be given opportunity or to see that there's like a big opportunity for something that can answer her questions, then I feel like her interest like skyrockets. Like for example, when she heard that that Azric came from the same place that her family was kind of close to, that's like a massive opportunity for her to be like, oh no, I really need to work out what happened, or like how close that thing might be to the information she's looking for. But the thing is, she feels so deeply in other people's pain too that it's really scary. And it's like being alone for that long and now finally finding a family. I think as a player, it's kind of balanced by, well, what is the shared interest in this thing? Like if only half the people are interested in what this thing is and what it can do, then you kind of have to find a pathway through that based off like little opportunities here and there when you go to certain places.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because out of the group, it's your two characters that are probably the most likely to be able to figure this thing out compared to everyone else. because y'all got the intelligence and the smarts.
Is it a spell that we need to learn to help us unlock the next part of the puzzle, or is it just like a history roll we need to make or something?
It's and it's a little vague on that, but diving in, like, it's more than likely going to be like, it's sort of like testing you, right? Like how much you got, like, can you solve this? Like, do you have the necessary like magical prowess to like deserve to see what's inside this thing?
I see.
Like that kind of stuff. So from where it came from, some powerful magic user like went out of their way to make a weird portal to hold this like crazy thing and a bunch of other magic stuff. So
yeah, see, that's the thing, because like me as a player, I'm so inexperienced with this type of stuff that I would be leaning on like Taja's character to be like, do you want me to do a thing? Because I don't know if this is an immediate thing I can accomplish or if it's something that's like a long-term objective.
Same, yeah. I'm in the same boat. Like, I very much am like, I'm under-leveled for this. I don't know. Let's put it in our pocket for later. Like, the future me's problem, you know?
if you can get your hands on the like a magical way to deal with like something being literally locked or something being like, you know, hidden away from you, then you're not underleveled for it. You just need to find the right magic to do it.
Haven't we done that before?
Well, so I don't know if Azric like moves, if he had said it as Azric in game or if he had DM'd it to us, but he was like, we need knock is what we need. And
that seems like a good thing to try.
I don't know what level spell that is, or like if I can have knock or get knock, you know?
Oh yeah, you definitely can. Wizards can get almost everything.
So I was like, well, maybe I can like find a scroll or I think I have an ability. It might be a cantrip, but it might be a regular spell. I haven't used it yet, but I think it might be a cantrip actually, but it's like something along the lines of like I can concentrate overnight on something and then I can just change out a spell or something like that, and for something else that
like a skill or something.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, maybe I can swap something I already have for knock.
Yeah,
if I can obtain knock now.
And I mean, I won't put all this out there, but Taj knows some people that she could maybe ask for help too, depending on how public people want to, like, you all want to be. So,
and I had brought that up this session, and then it kind of got dismissed a little bit, and so I was like, okay, never mind, you know. So, like, maybe like I bring it up again, and like, let's go talk to my friend, you know.
Yeah. In my mind, I felt like that it was something that was going to happen in the line of all the things that had to happen. It just didn't get to it yet. Because in my mind, like after like the ship dinner, like that was probably where you were going to go next. It's just,
I wanted to go to Zara's thing, but it felt like that was either a group effort or like the party was split at that moment. And I was like, I feel like we need to not be split to go and talk to her. Also like Emmy's thing sounded really important. So in my mind, I was like, well, let's just have this convo and then go back to the group, you know?
Yeah.
So
and that can be easily a thing that can happen next time for sure.
Yeah.
I have one question for you, Mac, in relation to kind of your and Azric's little like reunion, like with his bud. I guess, what did you think, or like what did Taj think as well, of like somebody actually showing up from y'all's past? Because you've like people have talked about like the crew in general, but like somebody actually showing up.
Yeah. So Moobs had DM me and was like, this is my best friend. You know him. We're all friends. And so that's why I was like, buddy, you're alive. Oh my gosh. And then you played it off as we were not friends. And so I was taken back because I was like, well, Moobs told me we were besties. So are we not? Fuck, we're not besties. So I just rolled with how you were playing it instead of what Moobs had told me. So I just still played it off like I thought we were friends the whole time, you know, like I didn't know you didn't like me.
Yeah, it's like Azric didn't have all the information, because it's that classic like where you like have two friends and you think, oh, they're like friends.
Fine.
Yeah, they're fine, they're cool, and it's just like, yeah, they're cool because
fine.
They're your friend, but like,
yeah,
he's just jealous.
yeah, I liked having people come back, and I felt like I just thought that was like a fun little moment because it puts pressure on Azric and Taj a little bit, because they think that they know, or they're the only ones that know the story. And if there's like other people running a story, like someone might actually know the truth. But we're going to run it down as like, this is what happened the whole time. Because yeah, I feel like it's a need to know, and we got what we wanted and we left, you know?
Yeah, nobody needs to know at this point.
No one needs to know. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and it seems like from what Volrin said is like, nobody really knows. Like, it's up in the air, so it'll be interesting to see like if that goes anywhere too.
And that's why I was trying to like gaslight him a little bit and be like, well, of course they're going to pin it on the two people that are missing, you know, like how convenient of them to do that.
That's what I would do if I was a pirate in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, well, we're going to gaslight this dude.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. How did you think Max's players, when we were like all in front of the table and like sharing stories, did you think that that was going to play out like that and we were going to dive into everyone's backstories right then and there? Or do you think it was going to take a little while to like get it out of everyone?
I think yes on some, no on others, because I know that there's been some like conversations that were probably like overdue to like happen, but then I also know that there are some things that regardless if people are at a table that aren't going to get shared right now. So it's like, I think it was a good scene to kind of have like the, like, I'm trying to think of the last time when the group actually was able to slow down for a minute and like have some time, you know.
I think it was like on our way to like a town, or like we were probably with that stupid kid or whatever his name is. Honestly, I think that was the last time that we were like doing something slow where we had time.
Samuel, yeah. I mean,
Samuel,
y'all been running and gunning since then, so I think a little bit of tension's okay, even like in a group setting, because that's I mean that happens in real life.
Oh yeah,
and I think that it's getting to that point where I think we said this after the episode where y'all like in the storming phase where y'all are coming together and like people are starting to butt heads a little bit, and that just kind of leads to like overall like group growth. So I think some aspects were good. It's just some things are not going to be said, you know, at this point in episode 15. So
it's true.
What that means, also, y'all can decipher. Yeah.
I need to figure out my stuff. Like I straight up, I think my backstory is literally 2 sentences. So like,
no, it's a little longer than that.
But. Okay, 3 sentences.
Yeah.
So I need to like figure out what Taj is about, because I quite literally don't know. That's why I dodged. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean that's okay. Like people have different ways of like how deep they want to go, because like you look at like VS is like the opposite end of the spectrum as like Mac, because like Mac as a player, she's like, here's the quick and dirty, like I'm just gonna roll with shit kind of thing, and we'll see what happens. Where VS is like, here's like 3 pages of like my story of my life, and like if you want to use this,
he gave you 3 pages.
I mean, he has the longest backstories, which
that's awesome.
Yeah. He has a lot of stuff too. So both sides of the coin are totally okay. So it's different parts of fun for me to weave in as the dungeon master.
Cool.
So,
I love that,
because as a character, he feels like there's not as much to him. Like he doesn't seem as a character like he's hiding a lot, or that he's not hiding a lot. He's just kind of like in the middle.
Yeah, it's funny because he has so much like rich like backstory, but he's playing a stoic character. Yeah. Right. I think it probably helps him as a player. And I don't want to speak for VS, he's not here, but I would assume if it were me it would help me as a player get into like my character's shoes if I provide like all that stuff to kind of figure out where they've been, where they come from, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but
what molded them to be who they are.
Yeah, but I mean, rest assured, like things will come out eventually. So as the story goes on, and in this campaign, everybody has secrets. So everybody has secrets when they come out, you know, not if. So I'm sure we'll dive more into that later in these episodes of Out of Combat as the campaign goes on. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you learned some things or two about the players and kind of what their characters are thinking. And we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.